So we have Carlos here, Carlos Leite or Ribeiro, or the surname you pick when you see
Something.
him in the chat, and João Fequete. And for this presentation, we could say a lot of things, but what matters the most is that we are developers, and we develop for quite some time now, mostly Carlos. Uh, and how we want to start this presentation is exactly bringing the light upon the subject about being a developer, right? So first things first, and you guys know probably if you watched any other presentation that I've done before, you know I like people to participate. So I ask you, while you're still here and with all your attention, please just use the chat and answer me. Who here is a developer? Just send like a yes if you're a developer and a no if you're not a developer, if you're like a business partner or a PM, PO. Yes for life, yes, no, no, yes. Okay, I want to know. So we have three. No, no. Okay, we got to a certain point. We see there's a kind of balance, but still, it seems like we have more people that are not developers than developers in here, which is one of the questions and one of the things that brought Carlos and I to start this presentation, exactly wondering who takes part in the Agile Week. Uh, and this is important because if we think about many people are involved in the Agile scenario with the Agile culture and use Agile in their daily life. Uh, and if we think about it, Avenue Code is made up with more developers than people from other areas. So when we see more people from other areas than developers in the presentation, it seems like there is a goal, there is a target. And we understand people who are from other areas are usually the people interested about in subjects like this. And that's why we thought, okay, we need to bring the developer's perspective and show the importance of that. Exactly because having this both for people who are not developer and developers, we think we can bring some more value to this and some more interested things to the table so we can discuss about that. And how did we find our insights? And the way we did that, we used Google Forms to have some more quantitative data with developers, but also we went after people we know, people from different clients, people from different seniorities, exactly because we wanted to bring a broad view about that with many different perspectives, and not only Carlos and I talking about what we think about developing with Agile, just because we need to have more information about this, right? And a disclaimer before we start: there are some things we need to take into consideration. What we should take into account is what we need to start with.
So, for example, here, some companies might implement the Agile. And with that, I have a funny story regarding this, because nowadays, the Agile culture and in a lot of Agile methods and techniques and tools as parts of our day by day. And it's very common to every developer is in touch with all the Agile stuff in general. But some time ago, some years ago, there was pretty new stuff, mainly here in Brazil, with a lot of companies and clients that just started to apply with no getting in touch with the developers and all the people that work on the company. And one funny story I have is for this point is some years ago I worked on some bank from Brazil. I will not say the name of the bank for some, I don't know, justice problems. I don't know. But the main point is basically on this bank we have a lot of people with 10, 20, and 30 years of experience, and all of these developers have some culture of how to work and what methods work and how tools work to deliver some products. And from with no caution or precaution from the directory and stuff, the bank started to use Scrum and other methodologies together. And one of the things that was implemented to all developers' work was the retrospective in the end of each sprint. But because of there is no some preparations for this implementation, in some points we have to remove the retrospective as part of our sprint, because basically instead of talking about something that could be better or something that goes wrong and talk about it to find some solution, the retrospective turns into a loop of blaming stuff. So a lot of people pointing fingers and blaming the others, and from often someone just open the mic and start to, I don't know, blame someone or coming together for some stuff, because the people are not prepared. Will not was not prepared to understand how to work with the retrospective. So the retrospective kind of becomes something personal and not something regarding the job, the product, or the workflow itself.
Yeah, and together with that, we have on one side companies trying to mindlessly implement that, and also we have developers having certifications only as something to help them get higher during their job interviews or in a way to progress in their careers. And this, there's also something like about me when I was first starting to look for jobs as a developer. One of the first things a headhunter told me was you should have some type of certification about Scrum or about Kanban or anything like this, just because it's going to help you um, get a job. And that's what most people usually do. And the next week, probably they forget everything they have learned uh, about Agile or Kanban or whatever they have studied, just because they needed the paper. So having this and these 2 points in mind, we need to think about how the symptoms of this is part of the characteristics we are going to talk about. So those are problems that happen still nowadays to some extent, and they are also some of the things that generate the symptoms we are going to address in the next parts.
So the bright side. Yeah, thanks, Ivan. So developers tend to like agile methods. One of the stuff that surprises when we start this our survey and talk about with the developers is, are in general all the developers see good things on the agile methodologies and like to work with the agile methodologies. And one of the points that more than one person thought said to us is that they feel improvements on the workflow. So they feel that the agile itself helps the workflow, helps with the routine, helps to understand what to do, what is not, what not to do anymore, and the other stuff. So in general, it helps the developer to feel good related to how to work on the day by day. And well, another positive is they provides organized routine focused on priorities work. Some of the developers that we talked say something, on my last company or my last client, I had problems with some new priority works that coming from nowhere, with no email or anything, just someone start to chat and asking for a new feature. And I think every developer is like have these already worked on scenario where some feature just show and is more prioritized than other features, and we have some problems to what I need to do. And with the agile, we have something good that is, even when it happens and it's part of the work, we know that we have the space to talk about it. For example, to question our leadership or our managers, to ask a simple question. Okay, is this priority okay? Can I stop this other stuff and start again in a few days, for example? It's okay. Everyone is prepared for this type of conversation, which helps a lot with the routine, and it's be good. Another thing very interesting is they create a common ground of shared knowledge about how things are organized. more than one developer also said that it's good to, even when we change the client or change the company, the most of the tools and, for example, the boards, the organization of the boards and the tests are similar, or have a lot of usually have some details that is different from client or company, but usually the main idea of how to work, how you do your stuff is already the same, because all the companies are using more or less the same structure of agile methodology, which helps a lot, and that improves the developer to share what he's working or what is learning about the methodology, and each will work on the next steps. And this was very interesting. One of our interviews say that in a remote context, some rituals foster interaction among people, which creates bonds. This is very interesting because, for example, on my story, one of the companies I worked before Avenue Code, and it was before the pandemic. So I worked on the site on directly on the office. I really hate the daily stuff and some plannings, because we are here, all the team is together on the same desk usually. So some of the meetings and some of the rituals for me wasn't necessary, because everyone is there. But in fact, after during the pandemic and after now with the home office, it's very good to have this type of meetings, because these meetings make the people talk together. Usually, I think mostly if you have, for example, this type of rules that during the dailies, everyone must open the camera to talk about that type of things helps a lot to create bounds, usually on this remote scenario. And even this is interesting because more than one person also say that even when it's wrong, there is still improvement. More than one person said to us that they saw some problems on the implementation of the agile methods. For example, some metrics or some meets or some ritual that's just used because it's used. But even in this scenario, they feel that the agile method is helping to in the work in general. But unfortunately, where things go wrong, and that's happiness. Too tight for life. So imposed, not taught. For example, they started talking about some places just puts the agile to work with the team or the entire company, or change the methodology or change the techniques and stuff. We've not thought about this without talking with the people about the change, trying to understand what with the people like on the currently is working. So, and this caused some problems during the workflow. So there is no good methodology without a good implementation. We also saw that we have a good methodology that have address a lot of stuff should be better, but when we have some problems to implement this methodology, we immediately find feels that something is going wrong, and this causes some feeling of not liking the agile in general. When the problem is only we need to just put something stuff to working better. Yes, Giovanni, exactly. Some people just blame the methodology and forget about the contents, forget about all the people that is trying to work on that. Be all talk with no action. This is another problem too, because we have a lot of stuff, a lot of people just saying just saying that some stuff needs to be on that way or another way, or for example, the daily must be something, the planning must be something else, and there is no action to put in fact this stuff to be working. So everyone already starts to feel again that something is not working. So, and this is very important. Not everyone takes the ownership of the agile culture. And I think this is the most important part here, because when you talk about the agile culture, and for example, Scrum, we have a lot of roles and a lot of uh, uh, stuff to do for each people has some specific stuff to do. But one of the problems we have here is how can I say that the people, the developers in general, forget that the developer is a role inside the agile culture. So the developer is not just the person to develop stuff, and the agile culture is around here. No, the developer is part. So everyone, including the developer, must have this ownership to, okay, we need to do some stuff, or I need to be part of the decisions and the other stuff. Not decision of the product, but decision around the method that is working is around the work.
Sorry, I started talking on mute. Where do we get after this, right? So what? How do we relate everything we've seen? From a developer's perspective, what we see is that Agile sometimes seems to be just something imposed to companies, and that nowadays everybody takes for granted that every company is going to use Agile. And the way it seems is that there is an agile leader which implements an approach. And then this approach that the person obviously has studied about and probably has lots of context about that, they are going to have the developers participate on this. So if we are using Scrum and we are going to have dailies, we are going to have a board, we are going to have retro and everything, nice. Developers are going to take their part into this. And if we are using Kanban and then we are going to have all the meetings to prioritize and keep working, developers are going to be part as well. And then Agile has its results, which is exactly after doing everything we have done. Either we have good results or bad results. We have metrics and everything. And after that, probably the Agile leader is going to recalculate, see what went well, what did not go well, and then we are going to start the cycle again. But what we want to bring and what we see from the developer's perspective is exactly that we lack developers into this. We lack the participation of developers, as Carlos said, with the ownership as well of what happens inside this culture. Usually, when we talk to other developers, we see that they say, "Okay, I have to participate in the meetings, and from my side, I can write tickets better. I can follow the rules of either each meeting." But what we try to show is exactly that developers, they also need to be able to criticize the methodology itself and how it's implemented, not only how they take part into the things they are told to do. So getting to a closure of what we want to pass with this presentation is exactly that. What we should take from this is that within the team, we should foster the study of Agile, and we, as developers, should question models and methodologies that are imposed. It's not only about not talking over your friend when they are doing the stand-up, or it's not only about, okay, let me write the ticket well because that's what I can do to make Agile better. Yes, those are actions that are going to help. But from you can start questioning, should we have retro? I Some people we talked, they said, in my team we do not have retros because we are all on the same pace. We know what we do. We have Slack conversations that solve the problems we would address in a meeting. So we just don't have the meeting and everything works well. So starting questioning the methodology itself is also a step that developers should be doing, and that Agile leads, Agile coaches should also foster the study, the ownership, taking that into consideration and being more active into that. And also, we want to say something before finishing, which is if you are a developer and you're interested in being a better person participating in Agile, you should 100% go to Stephanie's presentation tomorrow, which is going to be exactly about Agile for developers. So let's dive into her presentation and learn more about this context. Thank you all.